Let's talk about some realities concerning buying raw land and building on raw land. Some things you need to know. Okay, first of all, banks won't lend on raw land. Bank wants, they will do a construction loan. In that situation, they're only going to give a period of time, 18 to 24 months, that project needs to be completed. Okay, that's something a lot of people don't realize, is that when you hear, you're watching some YouTube channel and this guy's building his house on this piece of land or whatever, and they're doing something that's not conventional. Generally, that's a cash situation, and that's fine if you have cash. But some of the things you've got to pay attention to if you're looking at land and you see these amazing deals, 5 acres for $50,000, Eastern Oregon. Well, okay, a couple of things you need to know. Does it have water? Probably not. In Eastern Oregon, wells can be 300, 600, 700 feet deep, okay? That's an expensive well. That you need to be prepared to start at around $30,000, and depending on how deep you go, the price goes up, $30,000 to $100,000 for a well. Sounds crazy, but true. Power. Where's the power at? Some of these places, Eastern Oregon, they're off grid. There's no power. Okay. If you don't have utilities on a piece of property, like something that would be off grid, essentially that type of property, you're not going to get a loan on it. Banks are not going to loan on it. They have to have water, power, and sewer or septic. And that, of course, brings us to the septic sewer situation. Yeah, you're going to have to put a septic in. Sewers are only going to be in town, inside city limits. And sometimes there could be little communities where there's a community septic system, sewer system that is not common, but it does happen. So keep that in mind. And the other big deal is internet. Something that gets overlooked a lot of times. People just think that it's just available. Now, when you get way rural, you're not going to have your Ben broadband, options. You're going to have you might have to do satellite, and that can be expensive, and that does have some limitations as well. And that's about it. I mean, if you get too far out, and that's a big deal killer now, because some people work from home and they have to have a great internet connection. So some of the options I know my clients have ran into just don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the power to do the stuff that people are doing now that require a lot of bandwidth. So keep that in mind, okay? Typically, owner financing, it's usually possible on a challenging raw land situation, but sellers are going to expect 25 to 50% down up front. They want you to have some skin in the game if they're going to be financing. You can usually expect 5-6% interest rate, and terms are negotiable, but a 5-year balloon is pretty common. So you can make your interest-only payments amortized over 30 years, and then a 5-year balloon payment would be pretty common, but you got to have that cash up front. And honestly, most of these sellers they hope you default, because they're going to keep your deposit. They're going to have their only interest payments. So that's a deal that's very possible, that's very likely to get into. But don't hold your breath on it. And in our Central Oregon area, you will see lots down around Sun River, Lapine, and they're close to the river, and they're $50,000 or $80,000, and you think, oh my God, this is amazing. Most likely, it's really going to be just for camping only, because you can't get a septic in there. The water table there is so high, it's sometimes impossible even to get a sand filter approved. So keep that in mind. So don't get too crazy when you see those low prices down by the river and Sun River. Most of the buildable lots are built on. And if it's not built on, there's a good reason. It's either in the 100-year floodplain and you don't want to be there, you can't get it insured, or you just can't get a septic system approved. Keep that in mind, okay? It relates to construction loans. Construction loans are happening again, although for a while with COVID they were not. But there are a couple local banks up here, Washington Federal's one, U.S. Bank's another, that are doing construction loans. VA is doing construction loans as well if you're a veteran. So, that's something we can talk about if you'd like to. That's one way that, you can buy that raw land piece and, put that package together. However, if you're thinking you're going to build this home yourself, then that's not going to work, because a bank will require a licensed contractor to oversee the project. They're not going to be making their scheduled payments that would go to your subcontractors without inspections being done. Sometimes the appraisers from the bank will come out, take a look at it, and then they'll issue payments. But there's going to have to be a contractor signing off on everything and overseeing the project. Typically, a bank will have their recommended builders, and that's not something I'm really crazy about, but that's something to be aware of, okay? We can talk about that, and as more banks start doing construction loans again, I'll keep you posted if you want to check in with me. And so another thing is I want to point out is don't compare the cost. If you're looking at homes in around Bend, Redmond, and the new home developments, and they're at $200 a foot, okay, I don't want you to think that you can go out and build one for $200 or less, because it just will not happen. It just won't happen. Some real common sense reasons for that. Developers are buying land. First of all, they have that buying power. They're buying a huge piece of land. They're subdividing it. They do all the infrastructure, and they get all the utilities and everything in. So they're starting from a much lower purchase price per acre, and they have their subcontractors that they have on long-term contract agreements. And those subs are going to be giving their best prices to that developer, keeping that overall cost down. We're going to build hundreds of homes. The subs come in and they really sharpen their pencils. It's going to be impossible for you and unrealistic if you're expecting to get those same deals. It's not going to happen. And if you could find a contractor, whether general or specialized contractor, that number one is available, because most of your really reputable builders are scheduled out a year or more. If you could find somebody that maybe they had a cancellation and they have a hole in their schedule, okay, that's great. I've seen that happen. But if you find somebody with just nothing to do and you think they're great at what they do and they're not working, then, there's a red flag. Most of your great subs and generals are busy, okay? And they have lots of references and lots of homes you can go see that they've built. But they're not going to discount. They're not going to pull away their resources away from already contracted business to come out and build one home for you. That just doesn't make sense, and it's not going to happen. So all of these things add up to more money, including the cost of the materials. Most of these subs or generals are making huge purchases on materials, having them dropped, and they have these prices really chiseled down, for these larger developments. They often cannot get those same prices for a custom build, okay? That's not realistic either, and it is not going to happen. So those are some things that add up. They keep adding up. And prices now in Bend, actually, just so you know, like in my neighborhood, Homes are being listed in the developments for right at 300 a square foot. And a custom home build right now is going to be pushing 350 to 400 a square foot. And, that's maybe a year wait. I know there are some less expensive options like Highline Homes, some of those guys. Those are real cracker boxes, just so you know. You're not going to get high-end build or quality. It just doesn't happen. Be aware of that. Know what your costs are going to be, and you'll have a much better build experience. One other thing that comes up is tiny homes. And I know it's a romantic idea a lot of people have, but tiny homes can be a real challenge to drop on a piece of land or to build on a piece of land. I know there's a lot of variables. Tiny homes are still evolving. And if you're thinking about doing a tiny home or a mobile home, something like that, modular, you might find some specialty financing. A lot of the manufactured homes, they'll have their own financing, and they can do land home packages. Typically, rates are a little higher, so you'll have to look into that. But you still need to think about your well, your septic, and your power. And you can't do solar and generators. That's off grid, and that won't finance. Keep that in mind, okay? If you have questions about this, I'm happy to go into detail, and I'm not trying to talk you out of building, but I just want you to be informed and more educated as to what you really can do. Okay, one last thought is just about availability. Land is not as available as you think that it might be. Once you start applying all of these filters for qualifying the lots in the land, it filters them out. Where I thought there were 30 different possible lots that were available. Probably no. Buildable lots and land are becoming more and more rare. So keep that in mind. And they will move. If something shows up on the market, it'll go fast unless it's really overpriced. I know of one, for example, currently listed at $780,000. It's a 40-acre piece, very near here, close into Bend, really about 10 minutes from the land to, let's just say, Costco. Now, 10 minutes in Bend, you can be out, in the city, 10 minutes is nowhere. But you are in the country on a 10 to 15-minute drive. So it's just to the southeast of Bend, 40-acre parcel, really buildable, a lot of in-ground. I think it's got 13 acres of irrigation, a really nice pond lined, a fence to die for. I mean, a gorgeous, full iron fence on the entire perimeter. There are some views of the Cascades from out there. Quiet, gorgeous. It has power. It has septic. And it's got the pond. It has irrigation, right? This is like the primo buildable 40-acre piece, $780,000, okay? And it's on the, and I actually wrote an offer at $750. They wouldn't take it. They're very stuck on their price. I just sold a 2.5-acre piece just to the north of Bend. Really nice view, mountain view, $300,000. 2.5 acres, has power at the road, has septic feasibility already completed, okay, and has a community water, which is really nice. You don't even have to drill a well. So just to give you an idea, current market, like what's out there, 2.5 acres is hard to find, and not everybody wants 40 acres. So that's something, to keep in mind. Those smaller pieces are easier to factor into the total build. But, depending on the shape of that 2.5 acres, you could still have a neighbor pretty nearby if it's a narrow, long piece. Just something to, be thinking about. but at least more affordable. Once you go much further east with no view, you can find deals maybe in the 10-acre range, 150, 200,000. But you're going to have to do your own well and septic, and I don't even know about power. So yeah, there you go. Just some things to think about. Wanted to throw them out there. Feel free to call. Give me any questions you might have. Happy to jump on the call with you, and we can discuss your options. And maybe you decide to throw out a building, and we go out and we hunt down a house for you that's close enough to what you were wanting. That might be more realistic right now. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to try to keep bringing you valuable information about Bend, Oregon, Central Oregon area in the future. So good luck, and stay safe, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hello again, it's Paul Frazier. Thanks for listening. I thought I would make a quick recording. Sound quality is probably not going to be great because I'm sitting here in one of the lobby areas at the resort in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Beautiful time. We spent about a week here, just evaluating, comparing, testing, the market, exploring the local restaurant scene downtown, and also some of the surrounding areas, because there are a lot of smaller towns are all around Coeur d'Alene, like Hayden, and lakes everywhere. It's been a pretty good experience. It's really been eye-opening, and a couple of surprises along the way. I'd like to really sit down and do some analysis of all things considered, as looking at Idaho, because I've mentioned Idaho a few times in previous podcasts, and had clients that have gone different places in Idaho, not into Coeur d'Alene, but mostly down like around Boise area. But I personally would not be interested in southern Idaho because it's just too much like the Bay Area. It's just not great. It's cheap, cheaper than a lot of other places. However, still conservative in most ways compared to California, and compared more to Oregon, which is just more, or I should say, is less conservative than it used to be 20 years ago. So there's a trend there, and so some people that really want to go ultra conservative, they're looking at Idaho for political reasons. However, so a couple of thoughts right off the top of my head. I'll just get to it. Coeur d'Alene, a beautiful place. The lake is better than you think. I don't know. There's different types of lakes. Some have really steep, sides where there's really no beach. It's just like a cliff that goes right into the lake. There's a couple of those around here. Hayden Lake has got a lot of that, which is just a little north from Coeur d'Alene. But Coeur d'Alene, it's got that river, Spokane River coming in, feeds it. So there's a lot of river frontage, which was a surprise to me. There's basically $1 million plus homes lined on both sides of the river coming into Coeur d'Alene, and they're beautiful homes. I mean, it's shocking how much $1 million plus real estate there is, because there's so much lake frontage and river frontage. It's a big lake because of the way it's laid out. There's all these fingers and coves that have these beautiful, locations where tree-covered beaches and mountains around. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's that. And so when you think about it, a lake is not just a view. A lake is a lifestyle. This is one of the positives I took from this was, when you have that lake frontage, or even if you're not on the lake frontage, if you just live in Coeur d'Alene, you can have a boat, There are services where, for I think $3,500 a year, they will store your boat, and then it's like a concierge service. They'll come down when you want to use it. They'll have it gassed up, have it ready for you in the water, and you just walk out, get in it, and go. I mean, absolutely worth every penny. And then when you're done, you just bring it in, boom, tie it to the dock. The concierge guys, they take it. They take, they'll winterize it in the winter, and everything is stored, and it's amazing. So, now you have great family memories, things you can go water skiing, fishing, and it's doable. And if you do have water frontage, you have, it's even better. It's just amazing. But let's just say lake frontage real estate in Coeur d'Alene, you're going to plan on, there's no way you're going to buy on the lake for under probably $2 million. It's just not going to happen. You could spend as much as $20 million, $3, $4, $5 million. There are, I think right at this moment, there are 4 or 5 homes available on the market in every price range from like $3 million to $17 million. So, you go from a really nice house to a spectacular home, one of a kind type properties that are to die for, with world-class everything. So, which is what you would expect for $17 million. It's just a given. So that's kind of the scene here. You can buy a home in the Coeur d'Alene area for $500, $600, $700. You have a lot of real estate too. It reminds me so much of Bend. Different parts of town, Midtown, historical district, up in the mountains with a view. You have all those same, it's very similar eras when a lot of homes were built here. Started out a logging community and evolved, into what it is today, which honestly, Coeur d'Alene is developed way beyond Bend is when it comes to the resorts. I mean, there's a 18-story resort right on the lake. Imagine a 18-story resort on Drake's Park, downtown Bend, Oregon. Honestly, I think people in Bend are fighting to push back that kind of thing. You're not going to see a resort on Mount Bachelor. It's not going to happen. Here they have 4 resorts or 4 ski resorts within an hour. Okay, which is kind of nice. So, 4 different choices for skiing. Bend, we've just got the 1 resort. But Bend, even though, we could, right now, the Bend, Oregon, Central Oregon, population about 100,000. In Coeur d'Alene, so that right now they're calling it about 50,000 in Coeur d'Alene. I'm telling you, it feels like there's more than 100,000 people in Coeur d'Alene. It's not nearly as quiet as Bend is. And, Bend, we don't have all of the infrastructure that Coeur d'Alene has. They've got these 4-lane, 2 lanes go in both directions all over the place. They've got, 95. They have these main thoroughfares and tons of people here. Okay, this is just an example. In Bend, there's this one drive-through car wash that I have a membership at, and they just put this in about a year ago. And so it's $19 a month. You pull in, you go right through. I've never waited to go through the drive-through. The people that aren't members, they're in the lane to the left, and then if you're a member, you go right through. I've never waited to get a car wash. Yesterday, here in Coeur d'Alene, they have the same type of facility set up, only they have 4 lanes to go through the car wash. And, it's unbelievable. It was, there had to be 50 cars just going through the car wash, we waited about 15 minutes, in one of the lanes to go through the car wash. It's just as a comparison to Bend, it's some everyday simple things like that like you're looking around like there's no way that this is less population than Bend, Oregon. There's just no way. I don't know who's counting or when that census was taken. To me, if I were just guessing, not having any idea what the numbers were officially, I would say that here in February, which, middle of winter, in Coeur d'Alene feels more like 100 to 150,000 people in town. And they say that it doubles in the summertime. And it's just a madhouse here, So Bend is growing. But I am telling you, even, the roads in Bend haven't changed for 30 years. We've had the only thing we've done is we've added the bypass, which was terribly under-engineered. That's just two lanes, going north and south on the bypass. And there's no emergency lanes. Here you've got the big highways, that are a lot of traffic on them. And you've got these main thoroughfares that are 4 lanes, and they're packed. I mean, it's not stop and go, but it is solid lines of cars going in both directions, between Coeur d'Alene and Hayden. And Hayden is a town of, they say, 15,000. And we're up there yesterday thinking, I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, Hayden is busier than Bend, Oregon is. I'm not kidding you. So there's these things that are pros and cons. The restaurant scene here, not so great actually, although they've got some nice restaurants around. It just seems like the bar is not set very high. We had one great meal here at the resort, and we're going to eat at another place tonight before we leave that will be supposed to be the best place in town, and that was a referral from Chef George at Bos Taurus in Bend. Told me, hey, this is the best place to go, in Coeur d'Alene. So we'll check that. I'll give you a review on that. So, I mean, other than that, every meal we've had here has just been a disappointment for the most part. Just the level of the expectation just doesn't seem to be as high here in Coeur d'Alene for the food. And so Bend has got great restaurants. We have a real foodie environment downtown Bend. If you don't know about that, give me a call. We'll talk about restaurants, because something I really enjoy about Bend a lot is the food scene. Yeah, you've got all of the pubs and everything, but you also have some great foods downtown, some great places to eat. And even our places like, a little lunch place up at the golf course will have, like 2 or 3 things that are just incredible. And so, I was a little taken back by that. I was really hoping for some great food. Of course, it'd be nice to have more time here to really continue to explore the restaurant scene. So I will say at the resort, they have an incredible wine selection. They have a collection of wine there that we went on their tour, and it was amazing. You could literally spend a fortune on wine in this place. It was great. So, I don't know, some other thoughts. Right now, it's very similar to Bend as far as availability. There's just nothing to buy here. Currently, there's 135 homes on the market at this moment in Coeur d'Alene, ranging from, 700-800 to 20 million. And most of those homes the ones that aren't sold are in the very higher price brackets, so there are fewer buyers there. So, really limited supply of homes here to buy. So, and of course that's, it's February. It's not the big listing season. I'd be interesting to see what happens coming March, April, May, into the spring, summer. I'm definitely going to be back to see it again, maybe spend another week here during the summer and see what the lake is like and that type of thing. Maybe bring the family back here. So I don't know. This is just some thoughts. Right. We're still here for one more night, heading back home tomorrow. Going to go through Spokane. Oh, I should mention a couple of other things that just came to mind. So in Bend we have, well, it's actually Redmond. We have our little private airport there. We have direct flights, to a lot of places, Denver, Seattle. Unfortunately, not Spokane, because Spokane has an international airport, which is great news. It's about 45 minutes from Coeur d'Alene. So, it's an international airport. We don't have an international airport in Bend. We have to always do a connection flight in Seattle, San Francisco, or PDX. Here in Coeur d'Alene, you'd have a short drive, really not that big a deal when you're on you're heading to Europe or whatever. And so you make a 45-minute drive to Spokane, get on your plane, and you're on your way. So that's a big plus, I think. And you don't have the air traffic in Coeur d'Alene. Air traffic's in Spokane. So, Spokane also offers the additional shopping. A lot of people do their major shopping in Spokane. So, it's basically just about 15 minutes away. 20 minutes away, you're in Spokane, and unlimited shopping opportunities there. So I think those are pluses, because you have Coeur d'Alene, the smaller community, and then you do have a Costco here, and all the typical stores that you would, grocery shopping. But for major shopping, you're only 20 minutes away. I think that's not too bad. In Bend, a big city is 3 hours away. We're quite a big international airport. It's PDX. That's 3.5 hours away. So it's a little bit more of an effort to get to those things. Although we never do that. It seems like we have everything that we want in Bend. It's very seldom we ever go to Portland, especially not now, with the condition of Portland that they're in. So we avoid the bigger cities, basically. All in all, I tell you, man, I kind of come away right now feeling like Bend is a value. It's a deal in Bend compared to the real estate in Spokane or in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, they have the lake, which if that's what you want to add that part of like boating to your lifestyle, then Spokane or Coeur d'Alene has that. The Spokane River, they have that. Although it is extremely busy, we're told by the locals, like the river is really busy, feels dangerous at times. But the lake is a big lake, and there should be room for everybody to enjoy themselves out on the open water there. But in general, for a smaller community, Bend is I'm feeling like, wow, a bargain. Because for $1 million in Bend, you can have an incredible home in almost any part of town. You'll probably have to go a little higher than that if you want to be on the river, because we have a really limited riverfront homes that are on the market at any given point. You could spend $3 million on the river, but there's very few of those homes that ever come on the market, honestly. You can be near water, you can be near a ski resort, you can be near hiking and biking and all of that. 700 to $1 million. You have really some great options in Bend. So anyways, that's my take for the moment. I'll probably follow up with some other points on this later, and maybe explore some other cities in the Northwest. Let me know if you have any thoughts or ideas, and what other places you might be considering, and I can get you some feedback. Thanks for listening.